Make a treasure. Buff my creatures, draw some cards. Let's see what they do in their blocks. We have 10, 18 coming up your face, so it's almost lethal. Block that guy. Is this Death Touch? Nope. Destroy enchantment? Sure. What's up everyone, welcome back. Today we're playing Voja, Jaws of the Conclave in Historic Brawl. Voja probably needs no introduction, it's a pretty infamous card at this point, but it is a 5-mana Naya commander, so red, green, white. Vigilance, Trample, Ward 3. The Ward 3, probably design mistake, but incredibly hard to remove this creature. I mean, that's essentially hexproof. You gotta think that makes your Swords to Plowshares go from costing 1 mana to 4 mana. It's kind of impossible to target this thing unless you're a big mana deck. So those are incredible stats, but that's not where it ends. Whenever Voja, Jaws of the Conclave, attacks, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control. Draw a card for each wolf you control. So we're just going to make a huge army and draw a bunch of cards, right? As long as we have wolves and elves in our deck, and that's exactly what we got. We got, you know, all the different elves and, you know, Mana Dork elves, you know, +1/+1 counter type elves to go along with the synergy of Voja. We have just generically good stuff, green creatures that add +1/+1 counters. You know, Roaming Throne to double Voja's triggers. More elves, and there's wolves in here somewhere. Here we go, some wolves. Yeah, so elves and wolves, right? And what ends up happening with this deck is you plop some of these guys down, you attack with Voja. Now your Elvish Mystic, which is a 1/1, becomes like a 4/4. Voja, they can't target it, so they really need like a board wipe to get rid of this thing. And then we draw a bunch of cards, because Voja is a wolf. So we at least draw 1 card. If we're doubling it, we draw 2. If we have any type of changeling down, right, or something like that, like, we draw even more. It gets nuts. I've definitely attacked with this card, put like 6 +1/+1 counters on all my creatures, and drawn like 12 cards. It's not that hard to do with this card. So we're basically an aggro deck. Like we're a little bit of a ramp deck, right? Just because Voja costs 5 mana. But we're trying to kill our opponent as quickly as we can. So we have like haste enablers and things like that. Voja provides card advantage, so we don't really need too many of the card advantage effects, but we have a couple in the deck. Most of them are creature based. A little bit of removal. I mean, Decimate is just such a good card, and we can run it in this deck because we're in Gruul colors. So we have a little bit of removal, but in general, we're just trying to get Voja down and attack with it, and the card kind of does the rest. We have just a couple of other things that provide value if we need it, like Doubling Season and whatnot, but in general it's mostly creatures. Mana base is what you would expect, all the fetches and shocks. 3 Tree City's nice in this deck, right? We can either choose elves or wolves, whatever we have more of. Beseju, always a good option. And Cavern of Souls, right, in case we come across a blue deck that doesn't want us to get our commander down. So that's the deck. That's enough of me talking. It's hard to describe just by pointing out the cards. Let's get into the games and I will show you how crazy this deck can be. Voja time. Brawl. You get to go first. 3 more life. This hand is okay if we draw land, and it's kind of sucks if we don't, so no. Okay, sure. Not a lot going on, but at least we have ramp into Tribute to the World Tree. All of our colors. This is faster than the last hand, so I'll keep it. Gallic Readers, okay. That's a decent turn 2 play. You could also tribute. Yeah, I think this is better actually.
These banquets are so wasteful.
Arcane Signet. So we can, how much? This would be 4. So we could do this. We could play this as a land. Then what? 2 mana to play the Arcane Signet, and then 2 mana left over for Gallic Readers. I think that's probably the best use of our mana. Thinking about something. If they remove the Llanowar Elf, they can, at least on paper, they can stop me from playing Voja next turn. If they decide to get rid of the Gallic Readers, interesting. Okay. Well, Ward 3, can you do it? Can you get around Vigilance Trample Ward 3 opponent? Next turn we can Elvish Warmaster, Llanowar Visionary, then attack. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever it dies, put its counters on target creature you control. Okay. Shoulder its edict. Okay. Yep. Trigger. Draw a card. Next. Attack with Voja. Big boys. And we can't cast this because we don't have double. Oh, we do have double red, actually. Huh. Nah, let's get the land down. We only have 4 land. Let's not be greedy. That's how we lose games, being greedy. It would be funny though to like yoink one of their creatures and kill them with it, but they basically have to have a board wipe here. Okay. What does this do? Oh, okay. Yep. That'll do it. GG. Yeah, they just didn't have an answer. We were, if not that turn, the next turn, gonna pummel them into the ground. Alright, playing Voja. Voja and Historic Brawl. Here we go. So we're playing Azusa, which is a mono green ramp deck. They can play extra lands. But we have ramp as well. A way to get all of our colors. Yeah, I think we keep. Our curve is really low. Alright, we get to go first as well, so we can turn to Bristly Bill. So I think that's what we do here. We just get down Mana Dork, set up our potentially 3 mana turn next turn. Drew a land, that's sweet. Okay, so let's get Bristly Bill down. Let's... That was enough. That was enough for the opponent. Kind of a, in my opinion, a weird concede, because even though we're getting off to a fast start, like, their deck potentially can catch back up, and they'll have big creatures, so I don't know. Maybe it's because they just don't have removal in mono green, but yeah. Turn 2 Bristly Bill. Easy win. Alright, playing Voja, Historic Brawl. Mtga. This deck is super annoying. If you play any Brawl, I'm sure you've played this deck before. Essentially, Boros aggro, goes super wide, makes a ton of these little 1/1 gnome creatures. So, and they get to go first as well. Fairy's Protection is nice against them. This hand is just too slow, so we're gonna mulligan. Kinda need to be faster than that. This might be too slow too. I guess we can surveil and see what's on top and then go from there. This is a decent blocker, but we're gonna be under a ton of pressure. Okay, we'll keep. I don't really want to go down to 6 cards. We have all of our mana. We have. It's not really what we want either. I guess we want to get at least a forest or a plains. So we're gonna surveil. We have mostly, well, we have all white and green spells. So let's get the white and green surveil land, and we have a red source in our hand. Am I gonna regret binning that? I don't think so. I don't think so. We need some early game gas to beat this deck. Our deck in the late game is better than their deck, but in the early game we're very weak to it. Okay, we drew a land anyway. I think we just play the tap land and set up for our Land War Visionary, assuming we don't draw anything else. They're gonna attack, they're gonna put some counters on Anim, and make a 1/1. Okay, we could steal their commander eventually, which is cool. So let's get you down, and you draw a card, ramp a little bit. We can play Voja next turn. Enough with the lands, deck. Holy moly. This makes a 3/3. So maybe we play this instead of Voja. Okay. That's a big boy. Yep, makes sense. So we can't block this because that has double strike, but we can get rid of at least one of their gnomes. I mean, we could block it, but then we would lose our creature, is what I mean. Okay. Tough spot, tough spot. I think we have to just put down as many blockers as possible. We can fight this guy. That's decent. They're still going to attack with their 5/5, but now their attack is a little bit more awkward. Because we can trade with something. Now if they have removal, of course this makes their decision easier. But we have 6 power and 6 toughness, so what does that do? Paddling. Okay. Whenever creature you control with power 1 or less attacks, does 1 damage to the player is attacking. Gotcha. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, so like I said, this deck goes super wide. Super duper wide. I mean, I think we're just dead no matter what, right? Because we kind of have to block the 10-10 and the 4-5. Yeah. Okay. I'll give him a GG. I mean, I kind of knew what was going to happen in this game if we didn't have early game ramp or early game spells, and that's just kind of what happened. We had nothing until turn 3. So, playing Voja, Historic Brawl. Let's see who we get. The Micro Tyrant. Trample, its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control that are fungi and saplings. Beginning of your end step, create X 1/1 black fungus creature tokens with this creature can't block. Okay. We get to go first. We have removal. I like this hand. We can surveil, get a white source. Yeah. Get a green-white land, then we'll have all of our colors. Let's see what's on top of our deck. Land. I think we take it because we only have one other land in our hand. Turn 2 Signet. We could Fable next turn, or we could just Llanowar Visionary, and then the next turn we have Voja online. Which again, the earlier you get out Voja, the harder it is for the opponent to get rid of it, because they just don't have enough mana. I find that if you wait to play Voja, people can usually muster enough mana to get rid of it. Okay. Well, sort of makes my decision for me. Yep. Gets an elf down too, so that's nice. See what they do. Do they play their commander? I see this Witherbloom command pop up a lot. It's actually quite a good card. Doesn't seem like it when you read it, but it actually is pretty good in most situations if you're in Golgari colors. Okay, we don't draw a land. That's okay. So what can we do? We can Elvish Mystic Fable. We definitely want to get this guy down, so let's do that first. We have 4 mana to play with. I think we Fable and Swords their commander. I think that's the best use of our mana. Get rid of you. Pass the turn. Next turn we have enough mana for Voja. Whether they remove this or this, we still have enough mana. If they remove both, obviously we don't, but we can still draw a land. And if here are little lives, okay? Tokens, right, makes sense. This is a land, so I'm not gonna get rid of it. Maybe this guy? Nah, let's get rid of you. It's not really doing anything right now. Okay, we drew a land. So we can Elvish Mystic. Next. We can attack with both, make a treasure, play Voja. Right? Yeah. We need more green. Let's go get a green, what? Green red? Surveil. Do we already have that down? We do have that down. Okay. I guess just another green source then. Just has to be untapped. Okay. Can you deal with the Vigilant Trample Ward 3 Wolf? We have 2 elves down, so we'll put 2+1/+1 counters on our creatures next turn. Anchor Bloom. Okay. There's Mirrored Orb. No, we don't care about that. We're gonna kill you way before we mill out. Yep. Resolve all. It's funny how it like has to resolve each trigger, like ugh. Ugh. They could Canker Bloom here and get rid of it if they want. Nope. Okay. Make a treasure. Buff my creatures, draw some cards. Let's see what they do in their blocks. We have 10, 18 coming up your face. So it's almost lethal. Block that guy. Is this Death Touch? Nope. Destroy enchantment. Sure. Auto pay, turn the treasure into an actual land. I think we need a red source. Just so we have 2 red, and then we can surveil on their turn. We have 3 green, 2 red, and 2 white. So we're doing good. Oh my goodness. Yes, resolve all the triggers. Let's see. A bunch of goodies. I really like Golgari decks. Okay, let's go ahead and surveil. See what's on top. For half a second I was like, do I have a surveil land left in my deck? I mean, that just does it, right? Yeah. That just does it. Oh, we're gonna mill it though. Is it? Whenever a permanent becomes untapped. Okay, well, there's nothing we can do about that then. Oh, I see. Interesting. That doesn't do it. Okay. wait, what? That I forgot that this gets buffed, so, and that they had parallel lives. Why did they scoop? Why did they scoop? They have a good blocker. They have a lot of... these can't block. Okay, so these don't matter. But they have one good blocker. I guess because these can't block, even though they have a 12-12, we're wide enough where we're just going to kill them. Okay, that makes sense. I forgot that these couldn't block. Okay, I understand now. Still, 12-12. Out of nowhere. GG. They're gone, but we'll give them a good game. So, deck review. Voja, Jaws of the Conclave. Really awesome Naya commander. It's like, again, if you haven't heard of this card, where have you been? Under a rock or something? But this card is insane. It's got built-in protection. It's a 5/5 trampler with a vigilance. It draws you cards. It buffs your team. It does everything. It does everything that you'd want a Naya commander to do. And if you can ramp it out and get it out on turn 3 or 4, you're doing really well. Maybe give it haste. Yeah, it's hard to stop for the opponent. The only issue is if you end up going second and then you don't have enough fast ramp in your opening hand. I find that when you play this deck, people, you know, the Ward 3 is hard in the beginning of the game, but as the game goes on, people have enough mana to pay for the Ward 3, so they just remove Voja, and then your deck kind of doesn't do anything. Hopefully your board's big enough where you can just overcome that, but if they start to be able to remove Voja over and over, you're kind of just, you're going to lose. So my recommendation if you're going to play this deck is, you know, mulligan to hands that have ramp in the early turns so that you can get Voja down as soon as possible. Because the Ward 3 really is hard for people to deal with in the early game. If you keep hands that are like, you know, you're not doing anything until turn 3, you're going to lose games. That's what I found with playing this deck. So you really want to be aggressive. And if you are, you get Voja down, it just snowballs out of control. Super fun deck. Really like it. That's kind of all my thoughts on it. Mana base did really well. Always had a Surveil or a Shock Land to grab with our fetches. So I do recommend that you run all the fetches. I think I have all 5 in here. And, you know, some of this ramp and stuff can be moved around. Maybe we need less spells and more creature ramp, things like that. That's definitely like a good suggestion would be, what is it called? Hold on, I'm gonna search for it real quick. So, destroy, or is it sacrifice? Anyway, land, battlefield, elf. This one, Spring Bloom Druid, right? So this should be in the deck probably instead of Cultivate. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Get rid of Cultivate. But Spring Bloom Druid, when it enters, you may sacrifice a land. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, right? So it essentially does the same thing as Cultivate, but it's an elf, right? So I think any of these spells that are not creatures that you could substitute out for actual spells, I think that's what I would change in this deck. You really want a dense population of elves and wolves and just other creatures in general, because even if they're not, you know, an elf or a wolf like Bristly Bill, if they still provide a lot of value, they're still going to get buffed by Voja's ability, because it does say put X +1/+1 counters on all creatures you control. It just is dependent on the number of elves you control, and how many wolves you control is how many cards you draw. But just having creatures is still good, right? So that's the one thing that I would change. I would take out some of the spells. Even like Tribute to the World Tree is kind of a dead card in this deck, because I'd almost always rather this be a creature, because Voja draws us cards. So anyway, that's my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. If you want to join the Discord and request a deck, it's in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.